If you dream of your motorcycle, if your day isn't complete without some time in the saddle, if all you need is the open road and a full tank of gas, well, you've come to the right place because this is Throttled, and it's starting now. Here is your host, Kevin McKinney.
Hello to all you wonderful motorcycle riders out there in the world. Hope you're having a great day today in the United States. And I guess it's a worldwide holiday, or is it just a United States holiday? I don't know. It is what we consider Mother's Day. So, hello and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Hopefully this episode is not put out too late to severely date it. But hope you're all doing well. Got Larry with us today. Larry, how you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. I also say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I probably don't have that many listening to us, but for those who are, we wish you the happiest of Mother's Days. And so far today has been perfectly fine with me. Nice weather out here, and I've had a good time.
Well, today was actually a very nice day here. Didn't get any riding, did a lot of physical manual work for things that mother and child of mother wanted to have done today, and so I slaved away at their behest and was happy to do so. I don't know.
Were you really happy to do so?
Honestly, I was, because it was something that I know that what I was able to get accomplished is things that she wanted to get done, and also the other things that I did, moving some furniture around, was some things my daughter wanted to get done. So the two oldest ladies in the house are definitely happy. The youngest one got a little bit of French benefit, and my son, nothing happened with him today. And he was like, when am I going to get, new furniture or do something? And I'm like, son, as soon as I get a trailer, I'm taking you motorcycle riding. So chill.
So Kevin, they're saying that your sound level is a little low.
It's a little low.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't know what I can do. It is low. Why is it so low? Hold on.
Pulse is getting better now.
Well, I haven't really done anything. I guess I can try to get closer to the mic. So, and I'll try to speak up a little bit. My voice is probably a little shot. I've been talking a lot lately, so try to keep the volume up.
Okay.
Because I really can't turn up anything. I got everything maxed out. I don't know why it's down lower. Try that a little bit. See if that helps some. I don't know. All right. Well, sorry for that. If the volume continues to be low.
Well, I can talk more.
Well, and you're probably going to end up talking a lot. So we'll go with that. Yeah, I could see it on the recorder. For some reason, it's really below where it normally is, and I feel like I'm yelling. And there's nothing I can do. Well, I'll play with it once I get you talking about something. But anyway,
right.
Did you do any riding or adventuring outside?
Well, it's a good thing that you asked me, Kevin, because as a matter of fact, no. However, I am going to do a little bit of riding tomorrow because I'm taking my bike in for a 24,000-mile service, and I'll be riding up to the mechanic to get the service done. And of course, they're predicting rain for tomorrow, so I may be getting a little bit wet going up there, but nonetheless, that will be my riding for practically the month. I think a couple weeks ago I did a ride, but I've been mostly hunkering down in place as we are being required to do. And I'm looking forward to when things loosen up a little bit, and I'm hoping that I can get a long ride in sometime this summer. I want to go up into the Sierras, and I want to do some of the, the mountain passes in the Sierras. I have a ride planned for that, and it'd be about a 4 or 5 day ride. But things need to loosen up for me to be able to do that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping to, by getting the bike set up now, I will avoid a rush to get bikes prepared, once they lift the restrictions and all the motorcycle riders want to get their bikes fixed. So that's what I'm doing.
All right. Woo. I think I turned it up too much. All right. Well, yeah, it's really loud now. All right. So, yep, blowing the speakers off. See, now all of a sudden, I barely turned it. Now I'm turning it back lower than what it was when I started. That's just freaking awesome. Thinking my mixer may be going out on me.
Good.
Yeah, not
That's
really.
good.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
All right. So we may be using some Patreon funds for that here.
New mixer, huh?
Yeah. Well, I didn't get any riding in. I did move them around and work around them a lot, but looks like though it's starting to become more of a priority to do. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get out here shortly and enjoy the bike a little bit. So, all right, guys in the chat, just help me out with the sound volumes. Let me know what you think. It may bounce all over the place. I'm trying to find the range, find the sweet spot, and yeah. All right, so let's jump into some news.
Woohoo!
And actually, before we do that, let's do this. Let's go ahead and thank the Throttle crew because they're awesome. And I need to add Alex back to the list. Alex is back as a crew member. Robert, Autumn, Jerry, John, Rodney, Nick, John, and David, Ralph, Stephen, Lloyd, Michael, Dan, TC, Jorge, Randy, Sean, James, Tyler, Paul, Jeff, and Chuck. And I still think, I forgot. I remember now, but I forgot to check because I thought we had another Patreon come on when I was on my slight power internet mess there. But we didn't, so we're good. Yeah. So that's awesome there. Yeti, who I got to remember who that was. I think somebody pledged at a certain limit that got them a t-shirt sent. So I need to contact them, get that t-shirt size and get it ordered. And when it comes in, I may try to get it delivered straight to their door. So I need to get that done and organized. Got that on the notes here. Usually in those kind of things, just so you guys know, we wait until the cost of the t-shirt's covered, and then we go ahead and send it out to you. For those of you that are interested. But everybody that's a current crew member today is a good example of why we need you guys, right? My mixer's probably going bad, and I can't run the show without it, so I'm going to have to replace it, and they're not cheap. So we'll dip into some of the wonderful things that you guys do to kind of help us keep the show running and see if that kind of helps make the price a little bit more affordable. And we'll get you a mixer that hopefully will last longer than 5 years because that's about how long this one's lasted.
Well, everybody's saying the sound level is fine now. So
yeah, as long as I don't touch it.
Yeah.
And I'm having to. Yeah, I try not to ever touch it. That's one of the things. So, but if I do touch it, it goes haywire. All right. So I need to back that down. Cool. Outside of that, I'm totally off-road. So if you want to sign up for the Throttle crew and be a Patreon supporter, we'd really appreciate it. Go to the website, throttlepodcast.com. Scroll to the bottom, click on the Patreon logo, and we'll get you signed up. Really would appreciate it. Anything you can do will help, and we will make sure we'll let you know how much we appreciate it. Let's see, back here to the main screen. And so do you want to try to do an article first or call in our mystery guest?
Let's see. I think we should try to call in our mystery guest.
Call in the mystery guest. So this is live, unfiltered, wonderful guessing of if this works or not. But we'll give him or her. It's a him. A ring here. See what's happening. Who knows if they'll be prepared or ready. I almost feel like we're doing an episode of The Motorcycle Man. I got to tell you. A little bit there.
Well, I could add a few epithets to make it more realistic.
So far, no answer. So let's do this. Let's just carry on with the show, and then he can join in the conversation,
Okay.
and then we'll talk about that. So, um, and I guess we'll start with this. So Harley Davidson news, right? Um, Jochen Zeitz was temporarily appointed CEO a little bit earlier in the year when Levitech, quote unquote, stepped down, was removed. I have died on that sword, and we'll let it be known that he was ousted, I guess, and it's fairly obvious now. Um, and so it is now permanent, I guess.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
I had said before that
It,
he was booted out. That it wasn't a. It's simply him retiring.
yeah, and you were
I, w-
actually correct.
I
And
was right.
eat a
I was
little
right.
crow, eating a little crow. um, Not too much though. Anyway,
Yeah.
so but anyway, so we got is it Jochen?
I don't know how it's pronounced. I think of Yakin because
Jochen Zeitz.
Yakin is like yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm from the South. I can barely say most names anyway. Um, anyway, he's been permanently named president and CEO of Harley Davidson, and we got a little bit more. Most of this announcement is hoorah rah, you know, but I'm going to read part of his quote. He said, during the extraordinarily time of crisis, my first priority is the well-being of our HD community. As I execute our COVID-19 response plan, efforts to stabilize the business, resume operations, and recover. I am also leading a necessary and comprehensive overhaul of the company's structure, operating model, and strategy as we adjust to the new post-COVID-19 realities. Over the next few months, we will rewire the business and define a new 5-year strategic plan later this year. I will then oversee the implementation of these changes and reignite Harley Davidson as one of the most revered and iconic brands in the world. Larry and I were talking before the show, and Larry had some interesting insight about potentially some of the changes. One of them, you said, was moving the bike releases from the traditional September timeframe to more of an April, May, maybe June timeframe to capitalize on the current riding season.
Right.
Was there anything else that was mentioned that was kind of maybe leaked out as some of the direction? Obviously, we talked about last show how he may not be the biggest fan of the current direction, given the only thing that we know so far is the direction is changing. What else do we know are some of the ideas that he has or has been floated around as him knowing?
Well, yeah, I think that there are a number of things that I find interesting. He is emphasizing domestic sales. He's emphasizing a focus on markets and products that can drive performance in terms of profitability and growth. That's a quote. And this would seem like then that question whether Harley is pulling away from their investment in overseas in production and also sales, which previously had been seen as an important, a very important part of Harley's growth plan because the Indian and Far East market is growing far faster than the domestic market, and it seemed like Harley wanted to participate in that, but he seems to be de-emphasizing that aspect of the Harley's plan. The other thing is that he did say that they remain committed to bringing the Street Fighter and the ADV bike in online and into production. But they didn't mention anything about Harley's plan also to move into the smaller electric motorcycle and bicycle market. And I think there's a real question as to whether they're going to pursue that. Also, not clear how committed he is to the previous plan to try to recruit new riders. They had a commitment to try to get I don't know what it was, 1 million new riders a year or something into the market, and he didn't really mention anything about continuing that initiative. So I think there's a real question as to whether Harley is going to pull back from that. And one of the things that I thought was interesting, and I wondered how much it would be a factor, is that as far as I can tell, he is not a motorcycle rider. I looked into his biography, and he's a very interesting guy. He is clearly a talented executive. When he was 30, he became the CEO of Puma, the sports gear company, and he managed to turn it around from, I guess, near bankruptcy to a very thriving company. And he also is very committed to making to keeping the world ecosystem in better shape. And so one of his quotes is that you can't, you ride a motorcycle in an environment, and if the environment is not pleasant, it's no fun to ride the motorcycle. And so he's also has quite a commitment to, improving climate, decreasing climate change and doing those kinds of things. He's got a ranch in Africa, which he uses, I think, both as a place where he likes to spend time, but also to improve the conditions locally. And he is also investing in ecologically sound practices, and he would like to extend that to the manufacturing of motorcycles and also to the environment that motorcycle riders are going to be in. So that's kind of an interesting slant on this guy. Again, he's not a motorcycle rider, so I do wonder about how much first-person insight he can have into the motorcycles that Harley's producing and how they compare to other motorcycles in the market and that kind of stuff. But he clearly is a very bright and talented guy, and we'll have to see, where he goes from here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does in the line of the Rider Academy, what kind of support that gets. The new bikes definitely is concerning, potentially, that he's taking a position that may not be one that is as aggressive. Although from reading some of the other articles, it did seem that he was involved heavily in the Livewire's existence. According to some of the articles that were dug up prior to Levitech being ousted, that Zeitz was a definite pusher and one of the main ones that made that a reality.
Yes.
So I find that interesting that his approaches go back to the way it was. I think for the most part it's an overstep. Not an overstep because it's an overreaction, and I think long term it'll come back to bite them. Right? I mean, they were positioning themselves to be more attractive to more riders, and they were not doing anything to diminish their popularity of their current client base. I don't see it, but obviously this guy has turned around companies before and gets paid a lot of money to do it, so he must have some kind of insight that little old, armchair quarterback here in Alabama doesn't get.
Yeah, you're right. He was a consultant, or I think a board member at the time of that the Livewire was being initiated, and he was a supporter of producing the Livewire, which is consistent with his ecological commitment, and interest. And so that is a little bit of a contrast to the fact that he's also talking about moving back to the areas of strength for Harley. Again, that is being interpreted as keeping Harley sort of the Harley focus on their current markets and clientele, but it's not clear really whether that's the main focus that he wants to do, or whether or not that's only one area and that he will be moving into other areas of the market as well. One of the criticisms I've heard, listened to some podcasts and stuff about Harley, for instance, versus Indian, is that Harley is kind of spread all over the map. They're sort of their initiatives thus far have been in number of different markets. They're trying to appeal to small displacement riders. They're trying to appeal to electric riders. They were talking about trying to start, really from childhood on and get people on two wheels, and then onto electric bikes, and then onto small electric motorcycles and so on. And so it may be that in some sense this is a response to that criticism that Harley is all over the map and needs to kind of concentrate their efforts, sort of the way Indian has done. Indian remains clearly committed to the motorcycle market, to the traditional market. They are introducing new bikes, like the 1200, the Dirt Track 1200 bike that they introduced, which has been pretty successful. And their Scout models, the various Scout models, the Bobbers, and so on. We expect more of that, but Indian is pretty focused on staying in the motorcycle market and just gradually increasing the appeal of their line, and that in some circles is more favorably viewed than Harley's efforts to kind of shotgun the market at this point. So yeah. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what this guy does. He did seem to get a boost from the board that gave him their unqualified support, and initially the stock price rose as a result of the announcement of his appointment. We'll have to see. Of course, these are trying times, and it's going to be a real tough haul for all motorcycle manufacturers at this point. And by the way, Brian, our mystery guest, just indicated that he'll be ready in about 3 minutes.
All right. Let's see. I just got something that says he is ready, so let's go ahead.
Okay.
Well, we'll need to. All right, hold on one second. All right, I think we got Brian here. Let me try to see if I can merge these two calls. Let's see here. Where is that at? It's never easy. All right, nope, that didn't work. So we're going to try it the other way.
Okay, we're doing it the other way now.
Yeah, we're doing it the other way. We're going to call him. We're trying to.
What are these guys talking about here? You're very high.
I'm not sure.
A little apart from my niche motorcycle.
All right, how about now?
All right.
Oh,
all right.
there we go.
That faint voice is Brian Honeycutt. He's joining us. They got to experience live all the issues with dealing with Skype and merging calls and the failure of that. Brian, how you doing today, bud?
Good. How do you hear me now, Kevin?
A little soft, but we'll do what we can to adjust on the way. We've been screwing with everybody else's volumes tonight. Why not yours too, right?
All right, there you go.
Let's get to, and I'm going to turn it over to Larry because I think he gets more pleasure out of it than I do. Why do we have Brian on the call today?
Now, that's a very good question. Why do we have Brian on the call? Well, Brian is a friend of mine and a great rider, and he has had some recent riding experiences that I thought would be of interest to our listeners. So, hey, by the way, Brian, where are you now? Are you home or are you on the road somewhere?
Yeah, I'm over in Crockett right now. I just picked up a load of ethanol that goes back to San Jose. So, yeah, I'm working right now.
Oh, so you're working. I got you.
Yep.
Well, okay. So, Brian, why don't you tell people about what you've been doing riding? I gather that you've been doing some fairly long distance rides.
Yeah, so a couple weeks back, I was talking to some guys, and they said they couldn't ride because state border crossings were closed and all a bunch of nonsense. And I was like, it's just simply not true. Oh yeah, you can't do it, and then the guy I was going to meet up in Alaska. He says, I guess the international borders closed between us and Canada. And, that was a bit frustrating with the ride coming to Alaska. So they canceled that. And I was like, and then people were, you can't average 1,000 miles a day. And I was just like, I'm just going to get out and ride. So I decided to, go over to Salt Lake City. And then I was looking at, you could take the south route. That's a little farther, down through Bakersfield, across the Mojave Desert, and then through Las Vegas and up that way, and then back across 80. So that route was 1,750 miles. So I was like, I just jump on the bike and see what I can knock out in 24 hours. So that's what I did. So I left, what was it? Yeah, I left Friday evening at 6 p.m. Went pretty good. Run into a little bit of a wide load escort coming out of Barstow. It was about 11:30 at night, so that delayed me about 15 minutes, and then the rest of it was pretty easy. Going across 80, I had a little bit of rain in Salt Lake City, and then going across 80 in Nevada, it was daytime hours, and they were doing construction, so it was down to one lane, not much traffic. So but you had to drop down to 55 miles per hour. So I was able to knock out 1,730 miles and just right at 24 hours. And then went home, was talking to Corey, my girlfriend there, and she was said, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel good. So I drank a beer and took a shower, got some sleep, and went out and knocked out another 300 miles before 36 hours. So that was 2,050 miles in 36 hours, and pretty easy. So
So let me get this straight. You were doing this because your Alaska trip got canceled, huh?
Yeah, it was just a bit frustrating, right? Yeah. So I mean, again, the only border crossing there is between states is the agricultural checkpoint in California coming in at Truckee. So same thing, they just waved you through. It was business as usual for the most part. I mean, I went down the Las Vegas Strip, and that's pretty much a ghost town, which is pretty wild. And like the Luxor is completely dark. Some of the casinos are lit up, but there's nobody out. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty bizarre. And then I jumped back over in the freeway and made up some time. And when I went through Bonneville, I went off and went out on the salt and ran up the salt a little bit, but it had been raining, so they had signs to stay off there, and I didn't want to get the bike stuck. Plus, I was a little bit worried about time, so that was about it. It was really no big deal, no epic problems, and I got a receipt at the gas pump, so I didn't talk to anybody, didn't obviously get food or anything. I took that on the bike with me and just ate out of the tank bag, and stops, just moved stuff from the top box up to that, and that was it. I had to go inside the gas station for 3 different fuel receipts, but other than that, I didn't have any communication or contact with anybody. It was pretty good.
Huh. So, and did you have trouble in terms of feeling like staying awake, or what people were hallucinating things? And
No, it was pretty easy. I did the nighttime driving at the beginning, right? So 6 p.m. is when I started, so that was all knocked out. And I'd been since the first of the year have not been taking caffeine, so I had some caffeine, had coffees to start the ride, and I felt perfectly fine. Like I say, I got home and drank a beer and took a shower and slept about 4 hours and got up and knocked the rest of it out. So it was pretty easy.
So what's that in the Iron Butt community? Does that ride classify as anything?
Yeah, so the 1,500 miles in 24 hours is a butt burner gold. So I did that by the time I got back to Auburn, California, and that was 1,530 miles, and that was just under 22 hours. And then the 2,000 miles in 36 hours is a saddle sore gold 2,000. So that's what that was.
And what again? What states did you go through?
So I went, south on I-5.
Yeah.
Actually, 101 down to Gilroy, and then back over to 152 to 5.
Right.
Then 58 down at Barstow, 58 across the Mojave Desert,
Mm-hmm.
to Barstow, from Bakersfield to Barstow.
Right.
And then 15 in Barstow, 15 through Nevada. You go through Las Vegas and then up through northern Nevada, and then you cut off into Arizona, little chunk of Arizona, and then St. George, Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, then back over to Windover, Nevada, then across Nevada through Butte Mountain and all that, and into Reno, and that's it. So California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, back into Nevada, back into California.
Huh.
What's really sad is probably during those 36 hours that he was doing that, I probably didn't even get 2,000 steps in because I was stuck here at the house with the kids. So, well, dude, that's awesome, man. So with the kind of COVID stuff and you doing that one, have you already got something else being planned, or are you kind of just saying, waiting to see what's available?
No, not really. I mean, when they open the borders, I might go down to Cozumel, Mexico for a vacation, do some scuba diving, but I might ride the motorcycle out to my parents in Indiana in September, maybe. I don't know. That's too. So now I know I can do 2,000 miles in 36 hours. So that's what it is back to Indiana. So that's an easy ride. So I might do that straight through,
So we've also talked about doing a track day, right?
Yeah, so it looks like the tracks are getting ready to go hot. So that July 25th, they have a track day up at Thunder Hill West. That's a really good track. And so Corey wants to get out there, and if you want to go, that'd be good.
Yeah, well, I just want to. You said we, as in Larry, would be included in this, right?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? Heck. Now I have a certain amount of anxiety about doing a track day, but they do have a novice / intermediate class.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, the track with Coach Kanakaya's over at Superbike Coach, it's very similar to that, just a bigger track, And
right.
I mean, there will be a instructor in your group, and they will give you pointers, and there will be classes. But as far as the coach standing on the side of the track yelling at you, that's not going to happen. That's it's a big track with a little bit more high speed, so that's not really going to happen. But it's an easy track, and if you reach 100 miles an hour, you're really going pretty good. I doubt you'll see 100 miles an hour on that track.
Ah.
So you, Larry, you got your leathers ordered yet, or?
Yeah. Go ahead,
I've got some leathers you can use, Larry. I'll give them to you.
Oh, great.
I think you're about my size, so.
I'm not even close to your size, Brian.
No, I think you are.
You think I am?
I think you are. I'm 6'1", 200 pounds, so I think, and I wore them when I was 220, so you'll fit in them.
Well, Brian, I'm like 5'8", and 160 pounds.
That's all right.
There's room. There's room.
There's room. Yeah. I mean, they're short on me, so I'm not exactly off the rack type of guy, but that's what I use. So.
So you have to use leathers. I can't use my textiles.
No, I think you can. Do your textiles zip together?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think they'll let you. I gave you their website. You can check on there, and
Yeah.
I can ask one of the control writers. I'm sure they'll let you use that. But
Well, cool. We'll get hopefully get some video and commentary from Larry going around. Because I would love to see a first lap versus last lap comparison of your track day. I think that would be very informative to our listeners and viewers, to be able to compare those two particular laps.
Yeah, well, they say I did go to the website, and they say that the riders need to have very good road skills in order to qualify for at least they encourage riders to sign up only if they have very, very good road skills, and I think I have moderate to good road skills, so I'm nervous about whether I'm really up to the minimum requirement. But I would, before I chuck the whole thing, I would really like to get a track day in and just experience what it's like. So I just may, damn the torpedoes.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you'd have a problem. It's no big deal. Again, it's not a race. And again, in the C group or however they set it up, it's like no passing on the inside, 6 foot margin of 6 feet apart. So it's not a race, and I don't think you have a problem.
Now, Brian, you said that you were going to go up. You were going to be doing what kind of vehicle on the track?
I'll take the BMW.
But you said you were going down to get a 4-wheel.
No. I sold this weekend. I sold the Honda Hawk down in Burbank. So I delivered that, and then I picked up my brother's. I bought an RM85 from him, Supermoto, and it's got the dirt wheels with it. So I bought that for the go-kart tracks.
Oh, for the go-kart tracks, I got you.
Yeah, it's a little 85 two-stroke. It's a fun little bike.
Is that the blue and white one you had on the Facebook?
It's not blue and white. It's a Suzuki. It's yellow and white.
I may be thinking of somebody else's bike, which is a Suzuki, and it's blue and white.
Yeah, this is a little RM85, a little dirt bike, a little kid's dirt bike. But big people race them on go-kart tracks. They're fun. Like it races against the Groms.
Oh, okay.
The Groms, the KOs, and the Ovalis. If you know what a Ovali is, it's something Valentino Rossi's worked with those guys. But little kids practice on them. Big guys, there's a video of Josh Herron out messing on them. But racing that class.
Well, man, is there anything else you want to add, Brian?
Yeah, on this trip, I got to test out. I picked up some Clearwater auxiliary driving lights. So I've bought cheap ones in the past, and they didn't really seem to work so good. So these Clearwater Ericas came up on Craigslist, and I started messing with the guy, and it's got the CAN bus interface for the BMW. So I picked up that for $700. It's a lot of money, but man, those things performed awesome at night. So running across the desert at 90 miles an hour, man, you could see everything. So it was really good. It has the yellow filters on them. So yeah, I was really impressed with that. Again, you get what you pay for. So
what benefit do the yellow filters give you?
One, they give you people can see you better during the day. And you notice that a lot. If you come up on somebody, you'll see them get over a lot. So that works good, and of course, then I have the Aero Stitch suit, and I got rained on quite a bit in Salt Lake City, and that thing's perfect as ever. It's as functional as it is ugly, so completely dry and worked awesome.
Well, cool, man. Well, keep testing those lights. I've actually heard of the Clearwaters, and it was on my short list when I was looking at lights years ago. Ended up going in a different direction just because it was I didn't know any better.
Yeah, they're awesome, so you can set it up to do whatever. So on mine, if you honk the horn, they flash, right? And if you put your flashers on, they're in part of the flashers. And then, if you turn your transmitter on, they'll lower down so people can see your front turn signal. I mean, they're really awesome. They're really awesome the way they work and the way they interface with the bike. It's pretty simple. So.
And you didn't have to program that. That once you hooked it up, that automatically was the way they worked.
Sure. No, you program it through the controls on the bike, right? So the BMWs have those smart wheels, so it's ran through that and the turn signal indicator. But Clearwater has a YouTube video, and it's pretty easy. So it's pretty easy. Just plug the thing in, and the thing works. It's pretty amazing.
Cool.
Well, all these computers on these bikes, is about time something's just plug and go.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, Brian, I'm going to go, be further looking into the track day. Like I said, I would like to experience doing that at the least. And the only prep I would need to do to my bike is to tape the lights.
That's it.
Yeah. Huh. I could do that.
Yep, and like I say, I'll drive the truck up with the trailer, and you can ride your bike, and if anything were to happen, you could always throw your bike on the trailer, and we live on the way home to drop you off. So
and are you going up for a day or 2 days, or how long?
I think we're just gonna go do Saturday. So I'm gonna put different tires on Corey's 310, and then she'll ride that, and I'll ride the GS, and so.
All right. Well, we'll see. Oh, Larry may have a day at the track to report.
There you go.
That'll be awesome. So, what time frame are we looking at for this?
That's the end of July. I think it's like July 28th or something. 25th.
All right. So cool. Bated anticipation. This is going to be fun.
Oh, Rodney says I have to take the mirrors off, but I think they said that you just have to tape the mirrors.
You can tape them up or take them off. Either way, whatever works for you. It's not a big deal. They just don't want glass on the track if you crash, right? That's it. So.
Well, cool. Well, Brian, man, thanks so much for stopping in and sharing. You're always welcome. We always dearly appreciate your insight and especially your stories. As most of us in the country are, whether self-imposed or government-imposed, kind of locked up and not able to get out and do anything, we do appreciate the living vicariously through you, my friend.
All right.
All right, buddy. Well, look, you have a great evening, and we'll chat with you soon.
Okay, thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Bye. All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for coming back in. Hopefully, we'll get you back in.
He's an amazing rider.
Yeah, he is. And he's a really good guy, too. I enjoy conversing with him. We chat on Facebook, message a lot of all the platforms. But let's switch back over to the news real quick. How much time we got? We got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly. Actually, this is going to be more of a update for everybody more than a discussion. Looks like the AIM Expo is going to be rescheduling some things. They were supposed to be in Ohio in October. They're pushing that back to January 21 through the 23rd. And instead of this being a trade show plus a consumer show, it is strictly going to be a trade show this time. We don't know if this is a ongoing plan. However, while this article that we are currently referencing doesn't really mention that, I want to say I read one that said that it may not ever go back. It may just strictly be a trade only show from here on out. What does that mean with the demos? What does that mean with all the other stuff? Well, it's January in Ohio, so demo at your own risk. And honestly, with it being in October in Ohio, was for Ohio considered late. They really preferred the September timeframe. And so we really don't know, but that's currently what's going on. We'll probably get more in the future. I got to admit, I don't really trust what companies are selling right now when it comes to their scheduling and their imaging and, we were planning on doing this kind of stuff. Sure you were. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant, and I think Larry would agree on that. But we'll have to just kind of wait and see. You got any thoughts on this, or just kind of, it's more of a news flash, moving on kind of thing in there?
Well, I do have some thoughts. I think I agree with you. I think that I think that they may be trying to make lemonade out of lemons. That they're being forced to move back the show, and so and part as a result of the pandemic, they're also I think deciding to limit the participants in the show to just to just dealers and industry people. I assume that also includes press, but they don't specifically mention that. So I think that part of this is just to limit the people that are coming to the show, and of course they have to delay the opening because I think of the pandemic. So I am thinking that this is this year only, and that once things come back to more of a normal way of life, that they may rethink this. But for me, it would be unfortunate because I really enjoyed going to the show. you know, I,
Yeah, that's
I, I
fine.
yeah, I did go as press, you could you could also participate as just the public, and I think that it was such a good show, and the all of the booths and the demos and the introductions were uh, you know well done and so much fun that it would be a real shame if the show ends up being permanently closed to the public. So I'm hopeful that this is that they're just trying to make the best out of a bad situation this year, and they'll rethink it for the following years if they decide to keep it this way as just an industry show. I'm not sure that they have much of a future, but we'll see. That's my
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yep. Well, let's do this. Let's thinking about this last article that we were going to cover. I think trying to have more hosts on would be good to cover that, get different opinions on it. 'Cause
I could give you different opinions. I,
and while I realize that, first off, we didn't get you back on your medication. Second, secondly, just I think it'd be
that's what everybody is saying.
yeah. I think it'll be a fun conversation if we had a couple other people on there. I was debating it kind of the whole show, and I think I like that idea. So what we'll do is throw it on to most people's favorite part of the show. We'll throw it over to the paddock.
Okay, well, I'm happy to give you reports on the paddock. I am unhappy to report, however, there isn't a whole lot to report right now. Flat Track is sort of remarkable in how little information they're really putting out on their website and elsewhere. At this point, they appear to be pointing towards an opening at the Laconia Flat Track in New Hampshire on June 13th. But that is still tentative. We'll have to see if that really does come to pass. And other than that, there isn't a whole lot to report on Flat Track. There's not much news. MotoGP, not a whole lot either. They are planning to open the season, and what they're thinking at this point is that they will restrict most of the races that are left to European tracks, and initially they're planning on opening up in Spain, and they might have the first couple of races actually on Spanish tracks, and then after that, they might have some of the other tracks in Europe, and then, if possible, they may end up doing a few tracks in the Far East after Europe. However, that is a big question mark in terms of all the travel that would be required and getting all the consents and permissions. So they're hoping for at least 12 races, and maybe up to 16 if everything falls into place. And this would be starting in July at Jerez in Spain. So that would be if they do start then and there, and it's going to be hot. The temperatures there average over 90 degrees in July. They hold the races there in May where it's only 78 degrees. But again, they'll have to do what they can do. Now, I just read recently that Dorna is still waiting for the Spanish government to okay having the races start there in July, and they're expecting a response next week from the Spanish government. So it's still not for sure that they will even be starting the races there in July, but there is a reasonable possibility. And of course, these are going to be races that are run without spectators, and they will be trying to restrict the people that are in the paddocks and on the track to a limited number of personnel that will be consistent and that will be restricted to staying. Once they're approved to participate, they will have to stay in approved housing and all that kind of stuff to try to keep things as safe as possible. So I'm hopeful that maybe we can get some racing in this season, and if they do, as I said before, they will be qualifying somebody for the championship. This will be considered a full season of racing, and from my point of view, a partial season of racing is better than none at all, and would be a pretty big improvement over the virtual racing that they've been doing thus far, just to keep the interest going. But that really is sort of the latest news from Dorna and from the MotoGP. And next week we should at least find out if the Spanish government approves it. There, when they do these approvals, they have to appeal to different sections of government. It has to do with, they have to appeal to the health divisions of the government, and then the regulatory divisions of government, and so there are 2, 3, or 4 different departments in each government that they have to get approval for, the immigration or the transportation and so on. So it's a complicated process. And for that reason, I think that they're anticipating that at the least the racing will be limited and restricted to European racetracks. And at this point, even that is unclear, but we'll have more information about whether there is any kind of go for the racing in July next week. So stay tuned.
All right, be good to get that information. Thank you, man, very much, man. Awesome job as always. All right, well, let's start winding the show down. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Throttled Show, Instagram Throttled Show, and Facebook Throttled Podcast. We do broadcast live every Sunday that we can on YouTube, and those show notes go out about 15 minutes before the show on Twitter and Facebook. Just make sure you subscribe to those. You can also go to one of those links that you see on one of our social media pages and click on it while you're watching the show. Go ahead and subscribe and click the notification icon. That'll get you a email or some kind of notification when we do go live, depending on the device you're using, and you'll be able to get in and wait. We do, once we start the show, it sits out there for maybe 15 minutes, just kind of a little pre-show while we're getting all the bits and bobs connected and voices checked, and our makeup and wardrobe changes done. After that, we go live as close to 7:30 as we can Central and 5:30 Pacific. We look forward to hopefully seeing you on our next live stream. We do also take email. We love getting email from all of our listeners. Feedback at throttledpodcast.com would be the best way to do it. Or go to the website, throttledpodcast.com. Click on the contact form. We get it in the same mailbox. Either way is up to you. Outside of that, that's probably about all I have. My goal is to hopefully find a good day to, it had to be next Saturday or Sunday to get out and do some riding. Things here are loosening up a little bit. They're reducing the restrictions, and more and more people out and about. But I don't feel so bad about getting on the road. So looking at a short little trip, get the bike, shake out, get all the rust off. I feel like I'm going to be very rusty, and we'll get going there. So, Larry, you got any final words to say to everybody?
No, I appreciate all the input that our listeners did in the chat. I am going to be checking, having the bike serviced and checking all the things prior to the track day. And I don't know, I don't anticipate that I'm going to be doing a whole lot of really fast riding on the track. I'm really kind of just interested in getting the experience, seeing what the instructors have to offer me, and learning what I can. But my goal is not necessarily to ride faster. I just really want to ride better. So hopefully I won't wear out my brakes in one track day. But who knows? I might get into it.
Just remember, smooth is fast and fast is smooth.
Smooth. Gotcha. So anyway, but thanks to the chat room, they really got on this and gave me a lot of tips. And other than that, I'm hoping to be able to get out riding soon, and hoping that for our listeners as well. And when you do get out, make sure that you ride safe, be safe, and ride your own ride.
All right, everybody. If you are out there riding, ride safe. We'll talk to you next week. Bye. Good show, everybody. Hey, everybody in the live stream, you guys were awesome tonight. Very active chat. I'm
really
curious to see. Yeah, you guys blew it up with the number of posts. It was a lot to go back. Between my sound and everything else, I look over and I'm just like, what are they talking about now? Luckily, towards the end with the whole track day thing, it kind of brought it back home. But there's a little bit of time I was just like, I have no idea where they're at in conversation. But it's always fun reading those posts, and we really appreciate everybody just hanging out with us. We look forward to it every Sunday and hope you do too. So, boy, that was a sales pitch sounding thing if I've ever heard one right there. But it's sincere. We really do enjoy having everybody with us. But we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Hope everybody has a great week. If you do go ride, guys, ride safe. And, hey, we wouldn't mind some stories, some YouTube videos that you might publish out there. Just let us know what you're doing on your bikes. If you put something out there in the public, let us know. We'll watch it and laugh at you. I mean, we'll watch it and enjoy it just the same. So, all right, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.